Let's go. Let's go. I'm so fired up. It's Auburn week, and we have a huge, and I mean huge, announcement. How about this? I think you guys are trying to see what's going on in the background here. Boom! Can you see this? Oh my goodness gracious. We're going to tell you all about this piece of art. It was gifted by a viewer of the channel. I'm so freaking excited to tell you all about this. But yeah, it's pretty cool to actually have a background image now. How freaking cool is this? Wow. And always, as always, Cordell Flott for Heisman. Let's go. So, yes, I'm pretty excited about this piece of art that will be behind the channel for at least the time being. I'm very excited to tell you more about the wonderful artist who decided to, out of the kindness of his heart, produce this piece for us and how you could potentially get one of these back here. So obviously we have a lot to get to today. And as many of you know, Super Chat, Venmo, Cash App is the best way to get your topic to the front of the line. And obviously the first thing is this is the story. TJ Finley returning to Baton Rouge. And look, we did a film study of his amazing performance last week. And honestly, for me, this is the major thing. And I look at this from so many different angles, right? I look at this from as objective as I possibly can be about this, because obviously we were all cheering for TJ. We all on this channel, you guys know that we cheer for the underdog, and this was a 3-star who was going to be and was last year the starting quarterback for LSU, and he was the one to initially beat Max Johnson out for the starting quarterback role. So obviously, you know, as far as that is concerned, I look at TJ Finley as basically the same quarterback that we saw last year, a guy that has such amazing arm strength, a guy who puts in a lot of work into his craft, a guy who takes responsibility for his own actions. You saw this when he missed the throw this past weekend to win Auburn the game, the throw before his 4th down play. This was a guy who said, hey, that was on me. That was my fault that I missed that throw. It is my fault that we almost lost that game. So for me, I wish TJ nothing but the best, as I slobbered because I'm so smooth. I'm so smooth. But I do wish TJ nothing but the best in his career. I always said this. I always felt this way. Some of TJ's inner circle watches our channel. But to me, and this is how I've always addressed these comments, and I got a lot of comments about TJ Finley whenever he did initially leave. And the number one was, I'm a fan of TJ Finley, and I'm going to cheer for him when he comes to Tiger Stadium, or if he ever came to Tiger Stadium, because we didn't know he was initially going to go to Auburn. And this is what my response to that would be. I liked TJ a lot. I wanted it to work out. I really did grow fond of this great guy. But the bottom line is we became fans of LSU football. And to me, to the people that say, well, you know, I'm a TJ fan now, and I hope he beats us, then you were never really an LSU football fan, right? Now, I understand if you're, you know, a friend of TJ Finley or a family member of TJ Finley, you're going to be cheering for Auburn. But, you know, that's not the case for me, and I don't think that's the case for quite a few of you. So I do wish TJ nothing but the best, but not this weekend because he is wearing an Auburn uniform. So it is it's pretty crazy. It is wild that he won the starter's job, or we think he won the starter's job the week before the LSU game. That is truly incredible. What's up, Mick? Good to have you, man. We finally had to take my dog to the vet tonight. Hope your dog is doing okay, my guy. Right. Blessed all the way in Turkey. What's good? So, it's a pretty cool thing. Now, we had to start the live stream a little bit later because I wanted to make sure that we had this painting hung up correctly. But yeah, we are going to have a fun live stream. Let's get to some questions. Hope the dog is okay. Yes, absolutely. We are such a huge dog channel. Let's go to Go Tigers here. Do you think Bradford will be better replacing Hines and having Dellinger at left tackle? That is a good question. Once again, we just don't know a whole lot about the LSU offensive line situation. Our sample size of Anthony Bradford is honestly very small. We only saw him play a few snaps against UCLA, and as far as his performance at left tackle, I don't know. I honestly thought Garrett Dellinger played fine. I don't know how you guys felt about it. I thought he was pretty good. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because I liked him a lot coming out of Michigan. I always thought he was a year 2 guy, but I think he's their best option right now. Now, I will say this. I haven't been able to go listen to the clip myself. Cody, I don't know if you saw my shout out to you during the earlier video today. Thank you for always repping PHL gear, man. We're going to keep this comment up for a little bit. I know, Jared, once again, I'm trying to decide if I want the picture to be right there. I kind of do want it to the side, or I can move to the side. But yeah, I am rocking Liverpool today. I'm rocking LFC. I'll put it on forward. I'm rocking LFC because we did get the big win over Porto earlier today in the Champions League. We also today saw one of the biggest upsets in the history of the Champions League, but today we are talking about LSU football. Cam Wire's back this week. I do believe he will be back. So that's my first thing. Garrett Dellinger's not going to play if Cam Wire is available, especially considering Cam Wire started last year versus Auburn. Now, was Cam Wire good versus UCLA? It wasn't a good performance. I was really high on him coming in. LSU is really missing Dare Rosenthal, but honestly, this really concerned me a little bit. Now, I need to go look at the clip myself to be perfectly honest. I saw the quote that Brody Miller tweeted out, okay, and I made a joke about it on Twitter about Cam Wire said it was the young guys, not Cam Wire, Ed Ingram said it was the young guys that needed to step up. It's the young guys that need to play better, and he said it was the young guys. So I'll pull up the quote here because I do think it's important for context. I don't know. Are you home?
I'm home.
She's home.
What do they think about the picture?
They like it. They like it. They said Jared thinks we should scoot it over to the side a little bit.
Well, it's kind of stuck there right now.
Yeah, it's I just wanted to get it up, and you guys, you're gonna love the story of the artist a little bit later. This was the quote here from Ed Ingram.
Did you eat you a bite, baby?
No, I could only get crackers. That's fine. I'll be okay.
I'll have your tacos ready.
We're having bison tacos tonight. Let's go. Left guard Cam Wire mentions he thinks the return of left tackle Cam Wire could mean less mental errors. The young guys have made some mental errors, he said, and Wire has more experience and knowledge. So this is a big thing about that, okay? Ed Ingram made a lot of mistakes this past weekend. He made a really bad mistake in the first half, which legit forced Max Johnson to take his hardest hit of the day when he left his guy to go block someone else that was unblocked, which was not a smart move at all. So, I read a quote like this, and it seems as if the blame. I got to go listen to all of Ed Ingram's YouTube, his interview with the reporters today. But the the fact of the matter still remains the same. Ed Ingram had a up and down game versus UCLA. He's dominated the last 2 games. And Mississippi State, I thought Liam and Chasen Hines struggled more than Ed Ingram did. But the middle of the LSU offensive line is not good right now. They really aren't. I thought if I were to break down the LSU offensive line versus Mississippi State, now Mississippi State, their blitz packages are designed to confuse the offensive guards, but still, I thought LSU's offensive tackles were better than the interior of the offensive line. Okay, so that's it. Let's see. TJ Finley's dad is in here. So that's the thing. So I understand. I understand Ed Ingram's frustration, and I understand the young guys aren't necessarily playing all that well. But I thought Garrett Dellinger was okay for his first road start. Yeah. Where'd I put it?
Maybe you put it in here.
Yeah, I think I did put it in there. But I honestly say this from the bottom of my heart. I want this offensive line to succeed. I know that they have been really putting in a lot of work. So that's, to me, the biggest concern is, we're in year 2 with the new coach. Max Johnson's playing better. He's playing faster. The middle of that offensive line to me was the bigger issue this past weekend. And I think it was more Liam and Chasen Hines. I don't think it was really Garrett Dellinger or Marlon Martinez or any young guy you want to point out. We say hi to Paris. We say hi to Enoch. We say hi to G. Lou all the way from Montana commenting. What do they call it correctly? Bison. Bison meat is like the most underrated form of meat of all time. Hines must be way younger than I thought since he has been. So, yeah, go Tigers. And I was really encouraged by how good Chasen Hines played versus UCLA. He was really solid. But these last 2 games have been kind of up in the air. So we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm not worried too much about the John Emery situation. It's academic, obviously. But, I just here's the thing about making this another live chat about the John Emery situation. Number one, once again, it's just going to come down to the NCAA. I think he should be eligible. YOLO, let him live his life. He went through a lot last year. But number 2, we should be talking about Ty Davis-Price. While he wasn't spectacular, he was pretty good against Mississippi State. He was definitely the best running back for LSU versus Mississippi State. So we'll see this. Let's see. Defensive. Yeah, good job by Damon Clark. I will say this, Paris. As much as I liked Damon Clark getting that, it should have been Cordell Flott's award. I mean, look, Damon Clark, career high 15 tackles. Here's the issue with these SEC Player of the Week awards. The people that actually decide this just go look at the box scores, right? They don't actually watch the games. I think for me, and this is just my thing, I just think Cordell Flott had not the, and I'm not, this is not hyperbole at all. He didn't have just the best play or the best defensive game of the week. Cordell Flott versus Mississippi State was the best defensive performance by an LSU Tiger this year, period. Okay? We were on the road. By the way, both of Cordell Flott's turnovers were forced when Mississippi State was driving down the field. So both of his turnovers took points off the board potentially for Mississippi State. Damon Clark's biggest play of the game happened because of Cordell Flott. By the way, this is Cordell Flott who had to step up as a leader for this weekend when his best friend, Derek Stingley Jr., was out. Cordell Flott is by far the MVP of this defense, especially considering Andre Anthony's out of the equation. And this is one of the best turnarounds we've ever seen. Now, if you watch this channel, you know that I've circled Cordell Flott as a prime bounce back candidate. So, I understand we want to focus in on, well, when is Derek Stingley going to return? And when are we going to see John Emery? And I understand that those are big stories. But at the same time, when you focus on them, I also want to be positive about the guys in that locker room that are really carrying us right now. And TDP was really good against Mississippi State. Once again, he wasn't spectacular. He wasn't Fournette. He wasn't anything to write home about, but he was good. And Cordell Flott was spectacular. He wasn't good, not great. He was spectacular. And he was robbed of Defensive Player of the Week. This is a good question here from Jermaine. Can you please do a film study, not a film study on what OL combo that will be great? That's a good question, Jermaine. I think for me, as far as the best offensive line combo, and Jermaine, let me know. I think you've been in here before. Let me know if this is your first time in the chat. I want you to feel welcome. Well, good. We got R.I.P. Norm McDonald. We got him back in here tonight. Yeah. So first thing about Cordell Flott before we get back to the offensive line is this, okay? Cordell Flott last year drew the worst assignments on LSU's team, okay? He had to guard Devonta Smith, greatest statistical SEC wide receiver of all time. He had to guard Kadarius Toney, okay? Another first-round pick. He had to guard Treylon Burks, who's going to be a first- or second-round pick in this year's draft. And the list goes on and on. He drew tough matchups in man coverage with a four-man front, which opens up more space for your quarterback to throw to. He just drew bad assignments in a bad scheme, okay? So that's why I thought he would have a bounce-back performance. But I did not think he would be a real difference maker, as in this guy is for real, as in he's playing to the point where we don't even know if he's going to be back next year. He is playing at an NFL level right now. And once again, it's just 4 games, and we'll see how he does the rest of the way. However, the one thing you could say about Cordell Flott is actually a few things. He's a great leader. He's a guy that puts in the work. He's a guy that, of course, heard the internet slander about him. He also is a guy that is available, okay? He stays healthy. You know he's going to suit up. As bad as Cordell Flott has ever been beaten, have you ever said when you watch Cordell Flott, that guy's quitting on us? You can never say that about him. He never gives up. He gave it his all when he was put in those impossible matchups. Who on the planet Earth at the college level can guard Kadarius Toney one-on-one? Heck, Derek Stingley couldn't stop Devonta Smith. Okay? So, this is truly incredible. Jared, thank you for the super chat. Rai wants to talk some Kayshon Boutte for the Blitnikoff. And so happy for Flott. I hope he keeps it up. It is truly incredible what Cordell Flott has been able to do. And I hope he gets some Thorpe love. Once again, it's still a long way till the end of the season. We know what can happen to Cordell Flott if he's put in bad man coverage assignments. But this past weekend was spectacular. There's just no other way around it. There's no other way around it. You witnessed an all-time great defensive back performance. And on top of that, I do want to bring up a pretty interesting stat. I saw, I'll pull it up in a second. Actually, I'll go ahead and pull it up right now. Let me pull up my old friend, Cody Worsham, who now works for LSU. Cody gave me my first job as a writer for Dig Magazine. And I want to talk about a stat that he shared earlier today that I thought was really, really good. Let me pull it up right here. Jared, thank you for your super chat once again. And here we go. So I want to show you this stat right here from Cody Worsham. Eli Ricks, yes, he's playing pretty well right now. He did have the blown coverage. I think that was on him for the long touchdown. And Rai, I will get into some Kayshon Boutte in just a second. I do want to show you this stat right here. Let's see. Share screen here. Share screen. Chrome tab. Right here. This is a really good stat right here by Cody Worsham. He does a great job. Okay, so what I want to show you here, versus UCLA, LSU had 42 tackles, but they missed 18 tackles. And they had 72 yards after contact on 9 receptions. Okay? Mississippi State had 66 tackles, 10 missed, 62 yards after contact on 49 catches. So Cody is pointing out here that LSU played better defensively, which they did. Okay. But I want to add on to what really makes the Mississippi State game really spectacular is that LSU played 88 plays defensively, which is by far the most that I believe they have ever played in this modern era. Now, full disclosure, against Texas A&M in 2018, they played 107 plays. That was a 7 overtime game. But outside of that, 88 plays is the most. It is rare for your defense to go over 80 plays. Arkansas was the defense last year that faced the most plays. On average, they averaged 80 plays defensively per game. So the LSU defense pulled off this really great performance against Mississippi State despite playing 88 plays. Now, why were they tackling so much better against Mississippi State? Well, it was because of the scheme. All right. You guys have seen the film studies. The thing that I saw consistently, and once again, I'm just saying, I've been clamoring for this on this channel. One thing I saw that was very interesting was LSU's defensive backs and linebackers were allowed to play downhill because they weren't playing man coverage and they weren't playing so close to the line of scrimmage. So when you play better scheme and more conservative scheme and smarter scheme and more zone coverage, guess what? Your tackling is going to get better. And this doesn't include the forced drops that the zone coverage had for LSU. We pointed it out in the film study. When you play zone coverage and you're catching a drag route over the middle, you're hearing footsteps automatically because you're running into someone else's zone. Whereas last year, if you're going up against man coverage, there's not a safety or a linebacker ready to hit you over the middle. So it's a very interesting stat right there by Cody Worsham. But the reason why I think LSU's tackling was so better was part of Durante Jones's decision to switch up the scheme. So Robert wants to talk about some Kayshon Boutte. Do y'all believe? Let me ask this question right here. Okay. And I'm loving the way this live stream has started, man. We're talking about the positives about LSU football. I like it. And there you go. Boom. We're going to tell you all about this artist a little bit later. I do think Kayshon. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Do you believe Kayshon Boutte is going to win the Biletnikoff this year? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Do you believe Kayshon Boutte will win the Biletnikoff this year? Okay. Let's see what Kayshon, as far as yards are concerned. Let's see. Kayshon leads the nation in touchdowns. He is 45th in yards at 309. But what's interesting, let me see what his yards per catch is. I think his yards per catch are going to be low because he's had so many red zone touchdowns. Yeah, his yards per catch is pretty low. Let's go, Morgan. No. Yes. This is a good point right here, Big Al. I do agree with you on this. Let's see here. I think that's part of it too. Blessed. I especially if Jack Besh and Deion Smith continue to grow. I don't think Max is going to force feed Kayshon as much, and I do think, I do think Kayshon, we could see some regression as far as his touchdowns are concerned. Yeah, Lionel Messi today. What a crazy score, man. But yeah, if Jack Besh continues to grow, his numbers are only going to get better. This was very interesting to me. And Rob Wright, let me know what you think about this. Tell me this. Okay. Obviously, Kayshon Boutte is incredible, right? He's the best player on the team. And I think the gap between him and everyone else is starting to widen a little bit. But do you guys, Cade York and Kayshon Boutte, they're 1 and 2. They play, it's two completely different things, but still. Let me ask you this. Speaking of Cade York, do you guys like Kayshon Boutte playing special teams? Let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think Kayshon should remain on punt team? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Okay? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Do you believe Kayshon should remain on punt team as a gunner? 337 Bo, I haven't seen you in a minute. I know you're excited about Jack Besh and Malik Neighbors. I know everybody is excited about that. That is true. Mechie does play punt team. But is Mechie on the same level as Kayshon? Maybe. Probably not. Not worth the risk of injury? Man, he is such a beast on punt team, right? A very underrated Kayshon Boutte play was the Florida game where he downed the ball at the 1 yard line. And by the way, Kayshon Boutte also, and I went back and watched this play, the punt that Ed Orgeron did on 4th and 2 from the 42, he was there to down the ball, but Avery Atkins kicked it into the end zone. If you go back and watch, Kayshon was in the area. He would have downed it. He probably would have caught it in the air. He's just so good. I think what makes Kayshon really special is, man, his football IQ is through the roof. Like, he really understands coverages at such an extremely high level. Jack Besh does too. And I think that's part of the reason why both of them have been so good, like just right out of the gates, because both of them have like just these natural instincts that you can't really teach. They're just always in the right place. LJ, I think that was you that dropped a very nice Venmo. Thank you so much. So LJ, thank you so much. Once again, Venmo and Cash Apps are always preferred compared to the Super Chats, but I love the Super Chats as well. Don't get it twisted. LJ wants to talk about Auburn's coaching situation, so I'm totally down for that. Reed, welcome. Good to see you. Man, that was such a legendary performance by Jarvis Landry. That is my favorite single game LSU performance of all time. Was obviously outside of 2019 was Jarvis Landry versus Arkansas. That was the gutsiest, greatest, most underrated LSU offensive performance in the history of the program. It really showed that Jarvis Landry is the smartest, I want that guy on my team football player I've ever seen. And Jack Besh just gives me such strong Jarvis Landry vibes in so many different ways. and they wear that cool number 80 uniform, baby. Like, and you guys know this as well. I'm a diehard Terrence Tolliver fan. Diehard. I know that's random, but I was such a huge Terrence Tolliver fan as well. So that number 80 uniform, I'll freaking love it, man. So yeah, I am not going to the game on Saturday, Dalton. I am not. Yeah, he should have gone first round. He should have. I agree with you. So LJ, with the very generous Venmo, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It really does help out a whole lot. I will say this, okay? Auburn fired their wide receiver coach, who is very popular in SEC media circles. I saw that J-Boy, who's like the biggest SEC media personality out there right now, was really mad about this. And it wasn't just J-Boy. It was a few other people that were really angry that Auburn fired their wide receivers coach, which is very interesting because Auburn's wide receiver coach was very popular, and Auburn's linebacker coach was very popular, and Brian Harsin decided to not retain him. Now, why did Auburn decide to fire their wide receiver coach right now? I don't know. Here's my take on Auburn. Okay, I understand. Okay, trust me, I'm on an LSU channel. You guys know I've been very critical of Ed Orgeron, and so we don't have the most ideal coaching situation right now. But at the very least, Ed Orgeron won LSU a national championship, and he is starting to coach better. He is starting to make better personnel decisions. And while I disagreed with some of the decisions Ed Orgeron made this past weekend, he viciously outcoached Mike Leach. It was not even close. He put Mike Leach through the blender, and Mike Leach coached, to me, one of the worst games I think I've ever seen at LSU. Yeah, he was really bad against LSU. So I find Auburn's coaching staff to be very interesting. So they hired Derek Mason and they hired Mike Bobo, two guys who haven't necessarily lit the SEC on fire, to be the coordinators. I just never got it. I just never understood it. Once again, we're still only year one with LSU's coordinator hires, and we're still only year one with Auburn's coordinator hires. I just never was a Brian Harsin guy. Now, he could come in and win this game this past weekend. It's a 4.5 point spread. It's a coin flip. So I'm just not. I just wasn't on fire about any of the decision makings. So I can't. I don't know. I just don't get it. Once again, I'm not on fire right now about Ed Orgeron. So we can't. None of us really have been, but we can't really say too much considering our coaching situation. But I just thought Auburn made kind of a desperate hire. Let's see. I'm not going to the game on Saturday. Let's go to LJ. LJ, thank you again for the super chat. I want to talk about Jack Besh's snap share. Okay, so yes, he didn't play as much as we probably thought, but going back and rewatching the film, I think the reason why LSU decided to stick with Cole Taylor was because of the pulling guard motion. So LSU, most of their big plays came out of the same exact blocking formation where they pulled Chasen Hines around and they pulled Cole Taylor around. It gave TDP his best run of the day. The RPO touchdown to Kayshon Boutte was out of that action. So Jake Peetz wanted to keep that action for this reason. Every time LSU did that, Mississippi State kept crashing their safeties down to the line of scrimmage. which is what you want to do when you have Kayshon Boutte and a bunch of really fast wide receivers on your team. So I think that's why Cole Taylor's snap share grew, because Cole Taylor had a really good game. Now, you guys saw the first half film study. He did miss a huge rub route concept that would have went for a touchdown. He also had some inconsistent blocking. But let's be honest, he did catch the pass from Max Johnson that ultimately won us the game. He did block better. There was a few pass sets that I wasn't on fire about, but this was one of Cole Taylor's better games, and he did make a step in the right direction. With that said, Jack Bech is still the better player. I also think Jack Bech is the overall better blocker, but LJ, I think it was because of that pulling guard, pulling tight end action. They wanted to keep that there because the Mississippi State defense kept doing the same thing over and over. So that's why I think they did it. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Also, Jack Bech got robbed of one of the greatest catches I've seen, especially since 2019. It is wild. Is Stingley gonna read? What are we fighting about in here? I don't know what's going on in here. We will run the ball for over 75 yards Saturday. It'll probably be on a Kayshon Boutte reverse. Oh, man. I love it. Auburn is an incredible campus. I'm not going to lie. It really is cool. I was kind of shocked by that. I've been twice, or actually, I've been 3 times. Georgia State, I keep saying Georgia State. Georgia Southern ran for 267. Oh, LJ changed his avatar. Whose signatures are these? I can't see from here. I swear if I don't get over 100, I'm going to drown in Boudin. I think out of all the things to drown you, I think Boudin would be the best thing to be drowned in. That's kind of a crazy thing, but it's true. I'm just trying to make drowning a positive thing. You know what's funny, John? So I did some research on this, and SEC StatCat, once again, I always shout out Clark. He's just the best. He's the freaking best SEC personality out there. And he has a very interesting stat. It's not just the yards per rush, it's the yards before contact. We are averaging well under 1 yard per contact. In other words, yes, TDP is not an elite talent, but he has no shot. A lot of the times he has no shot, right? He just doesn't. I wish there was another way around it, but he just doesn't. I once again, it's the 2018 team. That's a good team right there. I understand 2019, they deserve everything. 2018, we went 10-3. We had a really good offensive line that year. We had Garrett Brumfield. We had freaking Devin White on that team, Foster Moreau on that team, Greedy Williams on that team. That's pretty good. Would be a pretty good thing. Yeah, you know what's interesting, Bo, about that? Someone actually sent me a message about their other tackle as well. It was one of his friends. He was like, "Hey, you got to watch this guy." I haven't been able to watch any Neville, but once again, I don't want to make this recruiting. We always do about recruiting stuff about an hour in, but I'll go ahead and say it. Everyone made a big deal about Arch Manning running over that linebacker, and it was ridiculous. Don't get it twisted. It was absolutely amazing. But did anyone see Walker Howard this past weekend? What the heck? He is playing unbelievable right now. Running, throwing, completion percentage a little down, but it's because he lost his two best wide receivers who are both on LSU right now. Walker Howard is the real deal. The real freaking deal. He is a real freaking deal. Walker freaking Howard. We're going to win a college football playoff with Walker Howard at quarterback. At least I'll put it this way. We're going to go to the college football playoff with Walker Howard at quarterback. Jack Bash, BTJ. Are you kidding me? Emory Jones? We got it, baby. We got it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I don't think you guys are on my level, man. I got my new painting right here. One of our viewers sent us this painting. He actually did the painting. We're going to tell you all about it. Let's see. If you want a chance to win, then you want Bo. I read that as like, okay, if you want a chance to win, you want Bo Nix to be quarterback. I first read that as, if you want a chance to win, you want Bo Pelini. I was like, what? God. Have y'all noticed there's another power hour with some guy not named Carter? I don't know what you're talking about. All I know is that Carter is not as handsome as me. That's all I got to say about that. Will Cam Wire coming back actually help? Yeah, I think so. I'll put it this way. I hope so. Cam Wire was pretty solid last year. Now, we only have one game. The UCLA game wasn't his best. That was kind of a weird matchup, though. So we'll see. Max might be the best QB in the NCAA right now. Fight me over that. We need Will and Emory and Katz need to step up. I don't know about the best quarterback in the NCAA right now. He is not the best quarterback in the SEC West. We got an Auburn fan in here. Welcome to the channel, Rand. Good to have you. So yeah, Max Shots is playing really well, right? And he's put up some pretty good stats. He's looked fantastic. You could make a strong case that Matt Corral is still better. You can make a strong case that Bryce Young has had a better season up to this point, but Max is playing pretty well. And it's most encouraging. And look, this has always been a staple of Ed Orgeron's teams. I could be very critical of his coaching, but the one thing you can always say about Ed Orgeron coach teams is they do tend to get better as the season goes on. It's always been true. I don't know what it is, but that's the sign of a good coach. I've always felt this way. And not only has the team gotten better, Max Johnson has gotten better. So yeah, I would rather face Bo Nix because he always folds under pressure. Big time moments in games or when he is worse. TJ showed he could play well in those moments. That is true. TJ Finley has been in 2 crunch time fourth quarter games, and he is 2 for 2 on game-winning drives against Arkansas. And that Arkansas game-winning drive is actually pretty impressive considering he was robbed of a TD pass to TDP earlier in that drive, and that was TDP's best game ever. So, yeah, TJ's proven to be a pretty clutch quarterback. So, yeah, I think Rand is on point, but just because you're good in crunch time doesn't mean you are good overall. Max, it's easier to face TJ. He's a statue, but he could definitely stretch the field more. Nix would run over our defense, especially with the 3-2-6 Finley plus Finley turnovers. You know what's funny? I would actually argue the opposite, Max, as far as Bo Nix. He tore us up in our 4-man front. We could not sack him. In fact, Bo Nix in our 4-man rush had his highest rushing total of the season last year. He had 11 carries for 81 yards. I think the key to stopping Bo Nix is giving him different looks. Last year, we kept doing the same thing over and over, and Gus Malzahn kept taking advantage of our man coverage and getting 2-for-1 blocks out of his wide receivers to the edge. And I just think for me, and I just think right now, obviously Bo Nix isn't playing well. He's been particularly bad on the road. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think for me, I just think when you look at Bo Nix overall, I would still probably prefer to face TJ. Once again, I would need to go rewatch some of Bo's other games from this year. But yeah, I didn't know there was another LSU Power Hour. That is very interesting. Well, best of luck to whoever that is. They're probably better than me. Let's see. I would like to see Arkansas beat UGA and love to see Ole Miss beat Bama. The crying in Alabama would be epic. You know what's interesting, Jared? If Arkansas beats Georgia, this is what's really interesting about Arkansas. If LSU continues to win, Arkansas would have an outside shot just based on schedule strength to get into the playoff as a 2-loss team, especially if Texas continues to win. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Arkansas is one of the toughest schedules, I believe, in college football history, having to play Georgia and Alabama this year. It's up there. So, yeah, Arkansas's got a really solid chance to get in with 2 losses if they win all their other games. The ACC is just hot garbage. The Big Ten isn't that great. So there is going to be room for a 2-loss playoff team. But yeah, shout out to the Tiger Bait. Was that Scarborough and my guy? Was it Preston? Good for them. Shout out to my guy, buddy Sanji. No 2-loss team not named Alabama is making the college football playoff. Laugh emoji. That's just not true at all, James. Look, this season has some very 2007 vibes, okay? A lot of the traditional powers aren't looking all too great. Spencer Rattler is widely overrated. I kind of wish West Virginia didn't choke away the game to them. They dropped a touchdown in the end zone and fumbled a snap 30 yards in the backfield. So, yeah. Bo Nix is not a good passer. Very interesting. Okay. The Master Blaster is here. By the way, let's see. Which one of these bad boys am I going to give away today? Let's see. Oh, this will be a good one to give out. So, because we do have the new Joe Burrow painting, we're going to tell you about the artist in just a second. Tonight, we're going to give out another Joe Burrow rookie card right here. Okay, this is his Chronicles rookie, and this rookie still looks pretty gemmed to me. Look at this. Okay, the next person to get booger bands. You can tell we're running a little low. I don't know if we have enough for tonight. We'll make it happen, though. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20 right here. The next person to get the 3 for 20 booger band deal, boom, you're getting a Joe Burrow rookie. How about it? Or how about we do this, okay? The most generous super chatter tonight will get the Joe Burrow rookie. How about that? But I will include a Joe Burrow card. 1 for 10, 2 for 15, 3 for 20. The next person that gets the 3 for 20 deal. How about that? And the most generous super chatter of the night. Boom. Getting a Joe Burrow card right there. Okay. Clemson, Bama, and Ohio State would easily make the playoffs with 2 losses this year and a 1-loss SEC runner-up will likely make it in this year. That's true, but here's the thing. I can easily see a third 1-loss or potentially 2-loss SEC team getting in. I can see it. The ACC is just garbage. It's so garbage. So Clemson's out of it. There's no way Clemson could get in now. They can win out and they still won't get in. There's just not enough good wins. Arkansas already has 2 better wins. Hey, man, let's go to the Auburn game. I got you a ticket. Tony, I wish I could take it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend this past weekend. Or maybe I might be able to. Haley is going out of town, though, so I got to watch her with the dog. Let's go, Carvers. Let's go. Our defensive line should eat this game. DB's pick 6. So this is also part of the reason why I want TJ Finley to start, because while Bo Nix is bad, TJ Finley is more prone to the pick 6. And I want to see one of our guys get a pick 6. I want Cordell Flott to get a pick 6. I think Cordell Flott will need a pick 6 for him to win the Thorpe. If he is going to be better. We'll see. But Tony, you get to pick the topic. Welcome. Y'all know about the Master Blaster. Y'all know about the Master Blaster? Cast a Legend. Welcome. We're not going to play 3-2-6 against him. We're running the 4-3 man-to-man. I hope not. Hopefully we mix up some coverages. I don't mind playing base 4-3. Okay? Everyone outside of the SEC country will be jumping off bridges, screaming SEC bias on the way to their deaths if the SEC put 3 teams in the playoff. Okay. So the ACC on the trajectory it currently is on is more than likely going to have everybody be a 2-loss team. Okay. So let's say the Pac-12, Oregon is looking pretty good right now. BYU is a deep sleeper. So, yeah, I think it is far-fetched to think a 3-loss SEC team would get in. But let me put it this way. Arkansas still has a pretty decent shot if they lose to Georgia. And, they would have to win out. They'd have to beat Alabama. But it's within reach. But yeah, TJ is definitely more of a pick 6 nightmare. Okay, this is a big thing. I hope TJ doesn't come in and show out on us. Your thoughts? Okay. So let me ask you this question: who was the better quarterback last year, Max Johnson or TJ Finley? Okay, comment below right now. Type M for Max, type T for TJ. Okay, I want to settle this once and for all. Type M for Max, type T for TJ. Okay, just assume who was the better quarterback? Put your personal biases aside. Put your put everything aside. Okay, give just simple M or TJ. Okay, so far we only have one TJ. Okay. And factor in everything. Factor in opponent, factor in whatever. Who was the better quarterback? Max or TJ Finley? Okay. TJ Max. I like it, Tim. Carvis says TJ slightly. Jamar. There he is. Jamar says Max Johnson very simply. So because Jamar is in the chat, I do want to share that the artist of the TJ Finley. I said the TJ Finley painting. The artist of the picture behind my head right here. Let me go ahead and shout him out because he is in the building. Round of applause to Jamar. This is his website right here. Boom. So go to jamarsimeon.com if you want your chance to get one of these cool Joe Burrow paintings, okay? Once again, Jamar's been a fan of the channel, and this is it right here. Look at this. Boom. There you go. So if you want something as cool as this is so cool. I got chills because I just love this piece of art. So once again, Jamar Simeon, thank you so much for not only being a fan of Power Hour LSU, but also, man, I support all different types of artists, but especially one like Jamar from Louisiana. Man, this is so good. I honestly got emotional when I got this painting. Cool stuff, man. So once again, it's Jamar Simeon right there. So I'll keep this up for a little bit. Now, a lot of you, I would say probably 8 out of every 10 of you said Max Johnson was the better quarterback out of the two of them, okay? I will also ask this question. Which quarterback was better in the spring game, okay? Which quarterback was better in the spring game? Okay? There you go, Jared. Look, man. Man, this is so cool. This is so cool, man. And I learned a little bit more about Jamar's story. It's so cool, man. Based out of Texas, from Louisiana, man. I just freaking love it, man. Freaking love it. Who had the better spring game? Okay. He should have made it a picture of Burrow's butt cheeks. But what makes this picture so cool is it's Joe Burrow in the Heisman pose. How about that, man? That's so cool. That's so cool. That's the treasure of PHL right there. So go on ahead, check it out, jamarsimeon.com. So Max Johnson had the better spring game, okay? They were all trash, including Miles. Parrish just says it like it is. Okay. So Max Johnson was better in the spring game. Also, Max Johnson, to me, was better than TJ Finley last year. Now, once again, I'll say it 1,000 times over, okay? TJ Finley played the tougher defenses, okay? With that said, TJ Finley turned the football over, okay? And Max Johnson did not turn the football over. That's the biggest difference, okay? Now, was Max Johnson phenomenal last year? Well, he was phenomenal against Florida, regressed some against Ole Miss. A lot of that was Kayshon doing Kayshon things. And Max obviously started the season really slow, but he's better. He's better than TJ Finley, okay? Once again, TJ might come in and light it up, but Max Johnson was slightly ahead of Miles as the QB1 in the spring. Max Johnson was better than TJ Finley in the spring game. Now, once again, it was just a spring game, but let's actually go back through that spring game. TJ Finley was the only quarterback in the spring game to not lead a touchdown drive. TJ Finley's interceptions in the spring game were really bad interceptions. TJ Finley's misses in the spring game were really bad misses, which in turn led him into making those interceptions. Now, once again, it's just a spring game, and the defense knows what you're doing, but still, Max outperformed him there as well. And I doubt it was that much difference in the practices. So let's just say TJ Finley, he definitely has the capability to come in and just light us up. He has definitely talented enough. He definitely has a good enough arm to come in and just shred us. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But that would just be one game. That's this one performance this next weekend isn't going to prove if TJ Finley is the better quarterback. Now, this is also very key. I am not so sure TJ Finley ever wanted to leave LSU either. Okay. Now, we all know Ed Orgeron can say some things that are crazy, but he seemed pretty sincere about TJ Finley getting really emotional about leaving LSU. And let's be honest, he and Ed Orgeron had a really good relationship. He and Steve Ensminger had a really good relationship. TJ Finley was committed to LSU for an eternity. So, I don't know if TJ really wanted to leave LSU, but going to another SEC West school, knowing that all you have to do is beat out Bo Nix, I probably, as much as I love LSU, I probably would have done the same thing if I was TJ Finley. So the reason why I bring that up is because the Master Blaster, Tony, one of the main members of PHL, made a really good point. If TJ Finley comes in and just lights us up and Auburn wins for the first time since the late 90s, it is not going to be the final say-so and if TJ Finley is a better quarterback than Max Johnson. But what I can tell you from TJ's performances last year, from what we saw from TJ Finley in the spring game, what happened was going to happen anyway. And this is by far the most important thing. Quarterbacks are sometimes better when they transfer anyway. That is part of who you are as a quarterback, is transferring. It is a real humbling thing to pack your bags and go somewhere else. Okay. How many of you think Joe Burrow would have been the quarterback that he was at LSU at Ohio State? Now, he very well could have, but part of what made Joe Burrow so special is that he had that extra chip on his shoulder that they said, look, we like you, Joe, but you're not good enough. Dwayne Haskins is better. And you can ask a lot of quarterbacks who transfer. Being told you're not good enough is something that you cannot put in a bottle. It's something you can't really quantify. And honestly, looking at TJ Finley versus Auburn, he does look trimmer. He does look better. It's obvious that he took this really hard. And speaking to TJ always had a good work ethic, but Sip G brought this up earlier. TJ really gets after it. He puts in a lot of work into his craft. So once again, I want him to succeed, just not this weekend though, because he's wearing an Auburn jersey. So yeah, I don't want anyone, if TJ Finley goes off to win the Heisman, that doesn't necessarily mean he would have been that great at LSU. So, it's so yeah. If Max does his thing this week and doesn't have a noodle arm, I'll lay off of him. Yeah, Zay, I got to say this. I don't think I can even call you a Max Johnson hater because you've been sincere in your criticisms. You aren't just hating just to hate. And look, you guys see the title of this and this is how I feel as well. TJ wasn't, I don't think he was trash. I think that's a little too blunt, but Max was better. Even against the easier competition, Max was better. Okay. Justin Fields is another example of transferring. That's just part of who you are. There's something to be said when you aren't good enough, especially at quarterback. So it's key. It really is key. Which makes sense because a Mike Bobo offense is not a great offense. I don't shiver me timbers when I hear the words Mike Bobo offense. Oh my goodness. I just don't. A Mike Bobo offense is kind of like when when people say DJ Khaled's the best producer ever. It's like, yeah, I get it. A lot of people like it. A lot of people think it's great, but it's not really great. And DJ Khaled's okay. He's had a few bangers, but still. This is also true. TJ is not a great fit behind a bad offensive line like LSU's. That's without a doubt true. Max's reads also could be sped up. Actually, like TJ's pocket presence more than Max, including last year. Max's pocket presence isn't great. I'll say that. He can run versus unblocked guys a little bit better. I do think TJ does sit in the pocket a little bit better. He doesn't backtrack 20,000 yards backwards like Max has a tendency to do. But the honest truth is both of these guys are still year 2 in their development, and both of these guys honestly shouldn't even be playing right now. Neither one of them. And Auburn's offensive line isn't too great either. Mo Funky made a good point earlier. They're not that great. They weren't that great against Penn State. So yeah, we'll see though. I'm not gonna lie. Auburn's offensive line was really good though when it mattered the most, when TJ was at quarterback at the end of the game. So yeah. What do you think, Carvis? Let's see. Miles Brennan would have been the starter, but Max is getting better. I'm still not sold yet. I agree with you. I do. I really do. I'm still not sold yet on Max or TJ, but I do think Max is better of the two options. And Max's feet are terrible. I've heard that too from people that are actually quarterback mechanics people. His footwork can get a little shaky. His arm is not strong. That's also true. TJ's got him in that department. Good thing there's room for growth. I just think Miles would shine in this offense. Yeah, he would need to be protected, though. And this is also true. TJ had a pretty incredible scramble in crunch time where he just juked the linebacker out of shoes. And Max is not an explosive runner. He's probably a little bit more nimble as far as running from side to side. But TJ looked like he had some juice in those legs. But TJ's scramble was pretty impressive. I still think Max is just a better quarterback. I really do. And this is key. It was Georgia Southern. Okay. So we'll see. Plus, TJ Finley doesn't have Jack freaking Bash and Kayshon Boutte to throw to. We haven't even talked about Tank Bigsby tonight. It's a good question. So why is Max better? Okay, so let's go through a few things as far as Max Johnson is concerned. Okay, this is my biggest obstacle surrounding Max Johnson. All right. The UCLA game was really bad. It was really bad. Okay. Now, I know the QBR for that game was actually his highest previous to these last 2 weeks. He was just bad. He missed some really big throws in that game. Obviously, the Trey Palmer miss in the second quarter was nefarious, but his feet and pocket presence in that game was just not good. He bailed the pocket way too often. Also, the McNeese State game for Max was really bad as well. Really bad. Now, he had some drops, but he missed some throws, and his QBR for that game was 45. So it is a good question, Coach Smith. Why is Max better? I will say this, though. The last 2 weeks showed me something. Once again, I do take into QBR a lot because it is opponent adjusted. 85 and 95 these last 2 games. Really good. He's playing faster, which is really good. However, this is to me the biggest difference. And if you were to pick one intangible thing that TJ Finley does have over Max Johnson, okay? TJ Finley in crucial crunch time fourth quarter situations is 2 for 2. Okay. Now we could talk about Georgia Southern and we could talk about Arkansas, who in that game was without their defensive line. They only had one starter in their defensive line healthy for that game. Okay. But TJ Finley led 2 game-winning drives in this 2 crunch time games. Whereas Max Johnson missed that throw to Jack Bash. Could have been a miscommunication. Could have been a missed throw on a route. It was a final drive. We needed to throw. It wasn't made. Okay. Let's go back to the Florida game where Max Johnson, by far his best performance, missed a lot of throws in that fourth quarter. A lot. Okay. That would have extended drives. And without the shoe throw, he missed 1, if not 2 throws on that final drive that, it was crucial. It was the fourth quarter of the game. Ole Miss game had the interception in that fourth quarter. Also missed a 2-point conversion. That was also doable. He did make the big throw to Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon did most of the work there. Okay. UCLA game, obviously missed some big throws in a close game in that one as well. And then this past weekend against Mississippi State, missed a few fourth quarter throws. And once again, that's harsh criticism. He's been mostly great, Max Johnson. But it is part of the story, okay? It is just part of it. So yeah. There you go, guys. If you want to get yourself a painting, enter my promo code Carter at checkout and support a fellow Louisiana artist. Yeah. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. So yeah, I mean, look, you guys know I'm a big Max guy. You guys know I'm a big supporter, but I try my best to look at things objectively. And, you go back to the Max Johnson 2 wins from last year. He didn't have Eric Gilbert, and Cole Taylor was not ready to play, okay? He just wasn't ready to play. So Max had to overcome really poor blocking from his offensive line and the tight end that TJ and Miles had for the entirety of their starts. And Max had to overcome that, right? And we have chronicled that this offseason. With that said, the crunch time throw thing does concern me just a little bit. It is a really, really small sample, and Max has made some big throws in big moments, but he's also missed more of those throws than he's made those throws. And I just listed all of them. If you're just now joining us, I just listed all of them. So, so yeah. Oh, please. TJ played for LSU last season with the same receivers. Removing credit from the QB is absurd. Yeah, and Max played with lesser wide receivers. He didn't have Terrace Marshall. He didn't have Eric Gilbert. He did have Kayshon. But yeah, once again, if you were to compare Max and TJ, Max was better in his 2 starts than TJ was in his 5 starts. Once again, TJ did play, the tougher defenses. This isn't true though. This isn't true. TJ outperformed Max in the early portions and won the job early last year. But we had an entire spring where obviously Max outperformed TJ. Okay. So yeah, I just that's just not true. It was the case at first, but Max eventually beat him out. Okay. I think this is true as well, Paris, and the UCLA game was a good example of it. Max was a major liability in the UCLA game. He really was. And we got a super chat here. Max also had the stupidest pass of all time versus UCLA. The behind the head throw was so bad. I will defend that throw to a certain extent. Jason Hines didn't bury his guy into the ground. So that was a big liability there. He should have buried his guy into the ground, Jason Hines. And Cole Taylor should have flared out. And I think that's what Max was expecting. If Cole Taylor would have flared out to the side, he would have walked in for a touchdown. But once again, that's why Jack Bech should be playing more, because I think Jack Bech would have known to do that. And I think he just panicked and did that. It was just stupid, though. He shouldn't have done that. And I'm not going to lie, Max Johnson's miss to Trey Palmer in the second quarter is one of the worst misses in LSU history. I've never in my life seen a throw that was more wide open than that, ever. You've got to complete it. And a big reason why that throw was so big that he missed is because UCLA had just scored the drive before. And I'm not a big believer in momentum, but they had all of it after that one play 75-yard touchdown pass. That was such a bad miss. It really was. You can't ask for anything more than that. Maybe he thought Trey was going to stop, but I know this is not hyperbole. He could have underhand tossed the ball, just flung it up in the air, and Trey would have caught it and ran for it. There was nobody with it. I had so many I had so many texts from people that were at the game, that from people like Jared and others. It said, "My goodness, I've never seen a more open play," and he missed it. So, I'm not gonna lie. Max has done a lot of rehabilitation, in my mind, just based on these last two games. Now, I'll put a huge asterisk next to Central Michigan, but to go on the road and play as well as he played was really good. It was really good. Okay, Matthew, before I get into your super chat, I want to talk about flip flops. Flip flops are so overrated. They're so overrated. Fellas, if you're still wearing flip flops, hide your daggum Al Talons. Get you some Crocs. Get you some slippers. Get you some daggum Chacos. Don't freaking wear flip flops, okay? I think Jamar Simeon, the man of the hour, the artist who bestowed this great painting, would agree. Jamar never wears flip flops. If you wear flip flops, reevaluate your life decision. You're an adult, more than likely. Don't wear flip flops, because you never know when you when you're going to break your elbow. A little bit different for women, because women are more likely to get pedicures. Okay, men, we can't be showing our Al talents and all that bushel of hair on the center joint of the toe. I don't want to see any of that. I don't want to see any of that. Anyway, Matthew wants to talk about Durante Jones. You know, I'm always down to talk some Durante. My super chat question, change the subject. Are you feeling more confident in Durante Jones after coming out party with a pretty good game plan against Mississippi State? Okay. Rand, what? Okay, let me stop. What's up, JJ? Where you been hiding, man? By the way, JJ is a part of the Booger Band Club. I got to touch on this, though. I can't wear Crocs. I was born with 2 ankles on the same side of my foot, and Crocs makes my second bone blister. Okay? I have never heard of someone, and Rand, I'm not making fun of you, okay? Trust me, I have birth defects too. I have a scar on my chest. It's like a weird scar on my chest. But you have 2 ankles? Yeah, you have 2 ankles on the same side of your foot, Rand? No wonder you're an Auburn fan. I'm kidding. That was cheap. Auburn people are great. Shout out to Vernon, my guy, fellow YouTuber. 2 Auburns on the 2 Auburns, 2 ankles on the same side of your foot. God, those aren't even cankles. Those are ankles.
Did you see my text, Bubby?
What did it say?
I just took a picture of how I set everything out.
Oh, for the bison tacos?
Yeah.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
Oh. JJ's in here now too, baby.
Hey, JJ.
7 days a week. Everyone say hi to Z, baby. She's got to go to bed.
She's not going to bed yet. Hey, I'm going to take her in the morning. Remember, she's got her haircut. She got her beauty shop appointment.
Oh, yeah, take her. I'll go pick her up.
Well, I asked her. She said I could drop her off early in the morning so you don't have to go. And then Mimi said she'll pick her up when she goes.
Okay, that's fine.
Get her COVID test and bring her home. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, but I got to talk about Durante Jones now.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Hey, babe. I would say night-night to the dog.
Hey, y'all take care of him this weekend. I won't be here.
Hey, Z. No, personally, Jones needs to show more versatility with the defense. All QBs can read the alignment pre-snap. I agree with that, man. I do agree with that. Paris is in here.
Hey.
Let's go. The Master Blaster.
Isn't Paris in Nashville?
Paris is in Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay.
She's a Velvet Taco queen of Atlanta.
Too bad they don't have a Velvet in Nashville.
Someone in here was born with 2 ankles on the same foot. Like he says.
Excuse me?
I'm not kidding. I'm being dead serious. The second ankle bone is a lot smaller than the main one.
Can we see photos?
No, I don't want to see a I don't want to see a 2 ankle foot. He's an Auburn fan. If you were an LSU fan, I would love to see your 2 ankle foot. But when it comes to opposing SEC accounts coming on this channel, you're only allowed 1 ankle on this channel on each foot. Only 1 ankle. No, we should.
That does look good though, Bubs.
We or Jamar's in here. We should do.
Hey, Jamar.
We should do. You're only allowed 1 ankle on each foot. Okay, so really quickly,
who's Go Tigers?
Go Tigers!
Hi.
2 ankles on 1 foot. He belongs in the circus. No. You can have as many ankles as you want. Okay, but there is a 1 ankle. Yes. Here's the thing, Rand. Do you want to come play offensive tackle for LSU? Because I think a 2, depending on which foot, I think that could give some great base to fast defensive ends coming around the corner. Can you block Myles Garrett? That's what I want you to know, Rand. But Rand, we want you to feel welcome.
Oh, there's Cardinal.
Everyone make Rand feel welcome. I feel like I'm
You're kind of smashing.
Yeah, I kind of smashing the 2 ankle thing. But he was one that brought it up. I'm still just kind of confused by this.
She's being so calm for you guys. Right
for
now.
once. For once.
Look, you can barely see it. Come in.
So, all right. On a how many of you feel I think Rand left the chat. Rand, please let me know. I don't want you to feel bad about your ankle. Ankles. Yes.
Be nice, folks. Love you.
Don't forget, go to So, how many of you feel more comfortable about Durante Jones now? Do you? Let me put it this way. Do you feel Durante Jones is going to be a successful defensive coordinator at LSU? Or type Y for yes, type in for no. How many of you feel more comfortable about Durante Jones now? Plum's always been a big Durante guy. I like that. Matthew's up in the air about Durante. Cars, I thought Jake had his best game this past weekend. But I'm not going to lie, it helps when you have Jack Bech playing more. I'm telling you, Jack Bech just does so many little things, right? He is so good on third down, right? The Central Michigan game is such a different game if we don't have Jack Bech on our freaking team. Yeah, Mo Funky, I think this is true as well. I just have a tough time believing Ed Orgeron wanted to go to a three-man front, right? I just have a tough time believing it. I think this was a step in the right direction. Now, let's talk about this Mississippi State game. Max, thank you for the super chat. As always, yes, as long as Coach O stays out of his way. I agree. Yeah, I'm telling you, Jack Bech, Jarvis Landry, they're very similar. This is very key, okay? So I actually did and I touched on this a little bit earlier, and I'll go a little bit deeper now. So we shared this Cody Worsham graphic. Cody's really great. You guys know this. Let's pull this up again. Let's do share screen. Tab right here. Boom. So we'll share this again. So number one, this is what's really interesting. There's one more thing I would add to this graphic. Is LSU allowed LSU played 88 plays defensively. So Ed Orgeron brought this up in the press conference, and this was something I didn't think about, and it's really interesting. Ed Orgeron said he should have subbed his defensive guys in and out a little bit more. So this is another side story that I think is very interesting about Durante Jones. I think LSU getting to play that Mississippi State game at 11 in the morning is huge because that allowed them to fly back, get back into LSU at a decent hour, and that allowed those guys to go through a full rehabilitation period where, they probably got massages when they got home and were allowed proper icing and all that stuff. And that's key because the defense did play 88 plays. Now, in the modern era, LSU rarely plays 80 plays defensively, right? It's rare. Stay. 88 is by far the most plays LSU has ever played defensively in recent years. The next highest, I believe, was like 85. So the reason why that's important is because LSU played very conservatively on defense. I do think they're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive against Auburn. I also think LSU should stay in a three-man front. I do like the idea of rushing 3, drop 8, but I do think you can't play it the same way you played versus Mississippi State because Auburn runs the football way too good for you to do that. I do think LSU is going to need to be more exotic with their fronts as well. So, yeah, and this is also another thing. LSU played 88 plays because the offense was really boom or bust. They had a 1-play touchdown drive. They had a 2-play touchdown drive. So that forced the defense to get back on the field and play more plays. And we weren't that great on third down. And a big reason why we weren't that great on third down is because we remained in very safe defenses on third and short, and all Mississippi State was doing was playing pitch and catch. So they're going to need to be more aggressive defensively. Now, what I would do is out of that 3-man front, you can do some very interesting things if Mason Smith is on the field, because once again, he could play defensive end. I would also like to see Mason play the nose in that 3-man front as well. But I do think there are some fronts that you can run with Mason. You can run some fronts in that 3-man front with 3 defensive tackles, with Mason at one end, Neil Farrell at the nose, and then Jaquelin Roy at the other, and then play BJ as one of the standing outside linebackers, or Ali Gay is one of those types of players. There's some different things you can do out of it, and I would do it. I would give offenses different looks. So we'll see. Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. You could do different variations of it. Tank is just a good football player. There's just no other way around it. He's really good. Is he the best running back in the SEC? You can make the case for Rodriguez and a few others, but he's pretty good. Yeah, I'm a Liverpool supporter. I'm a pretty diehard Liverpool supporter. Not always able to watch the games. So yeah. Yeah, but I do agree with Carvis. I do think LSU should mix it up. And here's the thing. Now that they've played a full game where 80% of the snaps they were in 3-man front, they can now go back and reevaluate. And now they know the calls for a 3-man and a 4-man front. This is true. There you go. So once again, the next person that gets booger bands, you're also getting a Joe Burrow rookie card. Okay. Catch you on the flip side. I love that, man. I love it. The flip side. Yeah, Neil had a really good game this past weekend. Yeah, LG, I don't. That's a good profile. Dang, you've been switching your profile photo up quite a bit. That's a good one right there, old Jacob. You know one thing, LJ, I'd have, once again, I need to go back and listen to the full media session. I thought Ed Ingram kind of threw the young guys under the bus, though, just by that Brody Miller quote. When, let's be honest, Jason Hines is still a major liability, and he's not a young guy. Oh, you got your Joe Burrow card. Congratulations. Who wants to join the Joe Burrow card fan club? You know you want to. You know you want it. Yeah, I just don't. Once again, sample size is so huge now on Jason Hines. You do have to start asking some questions. I mean, is Marlon Martinez a better option? I thought Ali Gay overall was pretty solid in his first outing since the UCLA game. He had the sack at the end of the half, which was huge to not allow the Hail Mary to go off. He made some really good plays. He was a little rusty, but he played pretty well. Yeah, Carvis, I think Jake did a good thing. He started pulling Jason Hines. When Jason Hines pulled, he was great. He was probably the best lineman LSU had on polls. It's just all the other stuff that's an issue. We do have a lot of Bamas in the chat, man. We do. So let's do this. While I take a little sip of water, where are you watching from? Let me know where you're watching from. Shout out your hood. I know Carvis is in Florida working on that PhD. Keep up the good work, my brother. Jamar, the man of the hour. Right there, man. Support my fellow artists. Rand, 2 ankles, is from Florida. Rand, I hope you keep coming back to the chats, man. You have made the chat a lot better. Fort Worth is in the chat. He's working on a research paper now. I love it, Carvis. Mobile, Alabama. North Korea. Fair Hopes in the building. You meet more LSU fans in California than any other college team. There are a lot of LSU Cali grads. Central Texas, Saraland, Alabama. We do have a lot of Alabamas. Andrew's going on a hunt. Speaking of hunt, how about Huntington Beach, California? Jason, man, that's a very professional headshot, man. Antarctica is in the building. Let's go. Garrett, man, right outside the south gates of campus. We need to go hit up some Phil's Oyster House. Jared, I think you're right. I think we are the Alabama LSU channel. That is so cool, man. Max, I'm going to come see you in New York, man. Lake Charles is in the building. Let's go. Let's go. I know you want to. So, yeah. Let's talk some recruiting really quickly. I'm just going to touch on the same thing I touched on earlier as far as recruiting is concerned. It's pretty amazing that, like, the whole story is Arch Manning right now, right? And, you know, we just saw the Eli Manning and Ed Orgeron thing, and obviously everyone wants Arch Manning. He's in New Orleans. But, man, Walker Howard looks good, man. He looks good. I understand. Don't hype up Jamie Howard's son too much. He's never been played down. This is only Walker Howard's second year as a full-time starting quarterback. Right now, like, just period. He's good, though. He's good. He's really good. He's really good. It's really good, man. Walker Howard is really freaking good. Jamar's from Lake Charles. I like that. Do you see that, Plum? Jamar, man. This painting is so cool, dude. It really is. I think he will, LJ. Look at this. Shreveport is in the building. Black Goatee, man. Me, you, and JJ need to meet up. And D, shout out to D. Third downs are so important. Besh is our third down guy. Please, Pete, recognize this. That's true, Black Goatee. So, obviously, Jack Besh had a nice third down conversion early in the game. And then he had another one in the – well, no, not early in the game. He had one in the second half that was really impressive, where he wasn't, and Max Johnson talked about this in the press conference. He didn't reference this play specifically, but I think this was a play that he was thinking about. There was a play where Max Johnson was locked in on Jack Besh, and the throw wasn't there. So what did Jack Besh do? Well, he ran his route in front of the linebacker that cut off his route, while Max was still staring at him the entire time and still made the catch. That is ridiculous. There's so many wide receivers that panic when they're covered, and they don't do a good job of getting open, okay? This is one of the first things I tell you. When you're covered, don't give up. Get open, okay? And Jack Besh gets the freaking open. He gets the you-know-what open, right? And he just signed an NIL deal. I saw that. I'm freaking happy for Jack Besh. Freaking happy for that guy. He deserves it. Freaking love this dude, man. Pegasus, he can't in the state of Louisiana. So yeah. Black Goatee and JJ, both in Shreveport. My Shreveport Tigers are in the building. Man, I'm telling you, people sleep on North Louisiana, man. They do. They freaking do, and I hate it. I hate it. I hated it when I was at LSU, and people would put down North Louisiana. I'm like, really? Really? Who cares if they don't have Lafayette and New Orleans and Baton Rouge? Who cares? Shreveport is just fine. Monroe is just fine. Ruston is underrated. North Louisiana is just fine. It's just fine. My headphone. I'm just not wearing headphones. You know what? You want to know? You want to know the truth? I am going to get my right ear checked out on Tuesday because it has been muffled. I don't know if I have like just nasty earwax. Do any of y'all have earwax issues? This is very important for my fellow earwax people. But yeah, I'm a big Jack Besh stan. It's bad. It's bad, man. Love that guy. It's a good question here, Dalton, about Dwight McGlothern. There's a lot of good. Obviously, he got beat for that touchdown that Will Rogers badly overthrew. Thank goodness. And let's be honest, Dalton, you do bring up a really good point here. LSU got really lucky in that second half. LSU caught a lot of breaks in that second half, okay? So the first break was obviously Will Rogers missing that wide open touchdown. The second break was a Mississippi State linebacker jumping the shield on the punt, which cost him 15 yards in good field position. And we did get lucky on the Cole Taylor touchdown. It was a really good play there by Max, and obviously an even better catch by Cole. We got lucky that the two defenders ran into each other because our blitz protection was badly missed on that play as well. TDP kind of saved us on that. So, yeah, you know, we have to finish better. We've got to be a better second half team. And, you know, we just didn't close the game well. You know, the sign of a good team is not backing into victories. And LSU does have a tendency to back into wins. It does. The Ear-O Gator? What is the Ear-O Gator? Asheville in the building. North LA. Trey White, Mo Claiborne, Lawrence, Jacob Hester, Boutte, Brandon Harris, Charles Scott. I like it, man. So LSU caught a bunch of breaks in that second half. You want to finish a little bit better. Okay. Garrett, you're right about that. Dak Prescott, North Louisiana. But here's a good thing. Les Miles thought Dak Prescott was a great tight end. I don't know if that's actually true. It's just kind of a fun thing to say. It makes us feel better about the fact that we didn't take Dak Prescott as a quarterback when, I don't know. You know what's interesting about the Dak Prescott thing? If he got coached by Dan Mullen, right? Does Dak Prescott turn out to be the quarterback he is now if he went to LSU? Maybe. You know, he would have been throwing to Jarvis and Odell, so probably. But, you know, look, I know we make a bunch of jokes about him, and we've beaten him. We've beaten him pretty bad these last, not bad, but we've beaten him these last couple of years. But how many of you thought going into this year that Emory Jones was going to be a slam dunk quarterback? I didn't. I was like, okay, I just don't see it. He's been pretty good. Dan Mullen's just really good. So I think a lot of Dak's success is due to Dan Mullen coaching him up. But still. Garrett, this is a really good point. Okay. So Garrett's getting pretty technical here. I'm down to talk about that. If you guys are down to talk about LSU's pass rushers, there are some things that do concern me about that. The first thing is BJ is getting out of his stance a little late. I've noticed that it's pretty strange because his get-offs were so good last year. I don't know. Part of why I think the LSU defensive line struggled is they jumped offside so much. I think Mississippi State did a good job mixing up their snap counts, but I do agree with you, Garrett, that LSU's defense does, and I know I use this exotic word a lot, but you get what I'm saying. They do need to mix some things up. They really do. I would agree with that, Dalton, because it was in our own house and he did it a lot, but so be it. I think Dak running all over us isn't as bad as Nick Fitzgerald running all over us, though. And this could also be true as well, Dalton. A smug little weasel. Let's see. What's interesting? I'm really glad we're an hour 46 minutes into this, and we've talked so much about the offensive line. But for those that watch our live chat, and I feel like I'm about to just destroy my own live stream, but I do want to point this out. This is the first time we've gone an hour 47 in talking about the offensive line, and nobody mentioned Cordell Thomas. This is like the first time that that this is the first time Cardell's name has been mentioned. I will say this: if Cordell was good enough, and I do get a lot of questions about him, if Cordell was good enough, he would definitely be playing not only at one guard spot, potentially at both of them. Okay, this is and Eric Gilbert. Oh man. I do think TJ could be a great SEC quarterback. I don't know if you're referencing me. I just always thought he was year 3 just because the school that he played at was an option offense that switched to a spread. So he never had a good framework. He was at a good high school program, but they ran the option, and he just wasn't. They weren't good. Ponchatoula was not good, and TJ locks onto his receivers just a little too much. But man, I will say this about TJ: just based on the eye test versus Georgia Southern, he looked more nimble. He looked faster. His arm still has that same pop. I just always thought he was a year 3 guy. But most quarterbacks, I think, are year 3 players anyway. Let's see here. Who do you think will win the Ole Miss versus Alabama game? Very interesting. I want to look at the point spreads. By the way, I am this always happens. We're an hour 49 in. I think this is the most viewers we've had in here, 88. So as we do move a little bit later, I I am starting to get a bunch of messages floating in. I know you've asked this question a few times. I've gotten asked about this game quite a few times. It's kind of interesting. Let me point this out really quickly. It is easier if you do super chat. I will get to your question right away. I know it's getting a little late. Some of you want to go to bed. So if you drop a Venmo, Cash App, or super chat, we'll go to your question right away. Shout out to LJ. Shout out to Carvis. Shout out to Jared. Shout out to all our super chats up to this point. Shout out to Jamar. Let's see. You want to know what's very interesting? Okay. Alabama versus Ole Miss. Alabama is a 14.5 point favorite, and the over-under is at 80. 80. However, Georgia and Arkansas, also a matchup of two top 15 teams. Georgia is an 18.5 point favorite over Arkansas, and the total is at 48.5. Okay. That's interesting. Georgia is favored by 4 more points over Arkansas than Alabama is favored over Ole Miss. And the Georgia-Arkansas over-under is at 48.5, and the Ole Miss and Alabama over-under is at 80. Florida, 8.5 point favorites over Kentucky. Texas A&M, 7 point favorites over Mississippi State. LSU right now, 3.5 point favorites over Auburn. This is the most interesting point spread, though. Vanderbilt, 14.5 point favorites over UConn. What in the name of Kimball Walker is going on at UConn? What in the name of Rip Hamilton is going on at UConn? What in the name of Khalid El-Amin is going on at UConn? What in the name of Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo is going on at UConn, where Vanderbilt is a 14.5 point favorite? Put all the names of all the players in their current state on the field versus UConn, and they would not be 14.5 point underdogs against UConn. How could you be so bad? What in the name of Paige Beckers is going on at UConn? What in the name? What in the name of Jeremy Lamb? What in the name of insert UConn legend here is going on? What in the name of Emeka Okafor is going on at UConn? What in the name? What in the name is happening? I will say this about UConn, okay? The funnest game I've ever been to in the PMAC was when LSU played UConn, and I think it was Sylvia Fowles versus Maya Moore. How freaking cool is that? 2 freaking legends. It's cool. It's so cool, man. It's so freaking cool. That was such a fun game. I think that was Sylvia Fowles. I might be getting my years all mixed up. If any of y'all were at that game, you can attest. That place was crazy. That's so cool. Maya Moore was in the freaking PMAC. So cool. Cardiac Kimba. You know what's crazy? Kimba Walker is now at the NIX, and he's playing in Madison Square Garden. But Kimba Walker should be tried for murder. He murdered somebody on live TV in Madison Square Garden when he crossed over that big guy versus Pitt in the Big East Championship. Are you freaking kidding me? That is the grossest crossover. I was in an LSU classroom, okay? I was getting a lecture. And of course, I wasn't paying attention to the lecture. I was watching the game on my laptop on an illegal screen. And when I was watching Kimba Walker cross over that big guy, I screamed in the middle of the classroom. I got up and I was like, what? and they kicked me out of the class. True story. True story. They kicked me out of the class. Got a C. C's get degrees. But still, true story. That was the nastiest thing I've ever seen. That crossover was vicious. It was vicious. Rand, with your two ankles, you would have been crossed over by Kemba Walker in that scenario. That's how vicious that crossover was. Rand, I can't get over this two ankle thing. My girlfriend is texting me. She was like, I want to see his ankle. I want to see his or her ankle. With points, Plum. I don't think I could take. Vanderbilt was wiped off the planet Earth. I lost 10 viewers talking about Kemba Walker for 10 minutes. Yeah, but Reed, if I crossed over somebody that badly in Madison Square Garden, I would want to go play there 41 games a season. That is still the most vicious crossover. And Allen Iverson was like my favorite player growing up. There will never be another crossover better than Kemba Walker's crossover in that moment. There will never Dalton, I couldn't tell you. I know Will Wade had a media day today. I couldn't tell you about any LSU basketball player this year. I just couldn't. Rand, I love you, man. I just did not think I would learn that one of our new viewers has two ankles on one foot. Yeah, though, I would take a pay cut to play in Madison Square Garden. I would. MSG is dope. I've never been, though. I have covered an NBA draft, but it wasn't in MSG. It was in Barclays. But anyway, back to LSU chat. Dwight will be a great asset for LSU. How about that? Who thought tonight we would get NBA chatter tonight on the channel? Okay, Jared wants me to talk football. He just sent me a Venmo. Okay. So here's what we'll do. For those that don't know, if you are just now joining the chat and you want to talk LSU football, I'm pretty strict about this. I do talk LSU football 90% of the time. However, our normal live streamers know when we do hit the 2-hour mark, we will talk about different subjects. So Jared wants to talk about football. I don't mind talking about the Saints. If you guys have any Saints questions, I'll do my best. I am not a Nick Underhill, though. I am not Ross Jackson. I'm not a Saints sharp, but I'll try my best. Okay. But yeah, if you guys want to talk LSU football, obviously. So yeah. Matthew wants to talk about Dwight McGlothern. He super chatted earlier. Is going to keep surprising people. Yeah, Dwight McGlothern, Carpet Shelf was one of our viewers. He was the one trying to start a real Dwight McGlothern hype train. And I don't think we have a Dwight McGlothern fan club president. Matthew, that could be you. Do you think Ed loses his job if y'all lose? So for those that don't know, Marcus has not been in the live chat in a while because he needs to get a new phone. Still, Marcus made a really good point, okay? And the super chats have been down because Marcus has been very generous. So I'm hoping this new phone hurries up and gets in. But I do like Marcus. You guys know Marcus, right? Most of you do. So Marcus Bennett is like really sharp, okay? And I'm not just saying that because he's been very generous and he's a big reason why our channel is where it is now. But he knows a lot about football. Like you guys know this, right? And he's been very successful in a bunch of different avenues. And he made a really good point before the season. And it kind of coincides with my beliefs regarding Ed Orgeron, right? It's not if LSU loses, okay? Losses happen. The SEC is – the teams on LSU's schedule are better than what they normally are outside of Auburn and Alabama. Okay. So Kentucky is better than what they normally are. Arkansas is better than what they normally are. Obviously, Ole Miss, this is their best team potentially that will ever play since the Eli Manning days. And it was cool hearing Eli and Saban talk about that 2003 matchup last night. So, yeah, it's very interesting, right? The SEC is good. The SEC is good. It's deep this year, right? So to me, it's not if LSU loses, it's how they lose. So if we lose to Auburn and we don't show them different looks defensively and we're blowing a bunch of coverages or we're giving up a bunch of explosive plays and our fourth quarter management is not great, our third quarter management isn't great. If those things happen, then yes, Ed Orgeron's seat is going to be warmer. But let's just say Bo Nix or TJ Finley goes full freaking Tom Brady for whatever reason, and they just play unbelievable. Then yeah, Ed Orgeron will be fine if LSU loses to Auburn. There's a lot of pressure though going into this game though, because we have not lost to Auburn at home since the late 90s. Got to go back to work. Dang, JJ, you are working 7-hour days. So for those that don't know, JJ is a nurse. JJ is also a proud member of the Booger Band Club. And JJ also owes me a steak. So I'm still holding you to that, JJ. Thanks for all the hard work. See, the channel growth is well-deserved, Big Dog. See y'all Saturday after the game. JJ's going to be in the chat. That's going to suck, though, because the game does kick off at 8 Central. Tony did offer me a ticket. I might as well just go. Big Al, I talked to Robert last week briefly. He is going through a little bit of a rough patch. So for those that don't know, Robert is the king of PHL, and he is one of our many cancer warriors. So along with Reggie, Reggie's not in here tonight. He's fighting through it though. He's doing fine. I was able to talk to him this past weekend. So yeah. Let's go, Jacob. You know what's funny? I like Jacob. I've gotten to know him a little bit on Twitter. What's very interesting is this is the first time we've talked about Corey Kiner tonight. So yeah, we might as well go until 3 a.m. Finally made another live chat. Yeah, you know what's funny? Julie, there you go. Welcome. So here's the thing about this, Jacob. Corey Kiner rightfully did not deserve to play as much as his previous games were warranted. There were some pass protection issues. Once again, I don't know who blew a pass protection assignment. I don't know if it was either him or Ed Ingram. We broke the play down in a film study, our first half film study. I don't know if that was on him or Ingram. So full disclosure, I don't know. But I think the LSU coaching staff, when they saw Corey Kiner try to hurdle somebody when he was going out of bounds, that's one of those things where you kind of have to take a young guy out to the side and say, you got to calm down a little bit, right? Because you're putting yourself at a health risk if you're trying to hurdle someone in that situation. So yeah. Yes, exactly. We need Corey Kiner to stay on his feet. Okay. Paris is back. Matthew's with you. Team Kiner all the way. TDP had a good game this past weekend, though. Once again, I said good. It wasn't spectacular. He didn't go Jeremy Hill. And once again, this was really cool. It was really cool for me. Jeremy Hill was a part of our live chat last night. So that was really cool, right? That meant a lot to me. I did an interview with Jeremy on 104.5 a few weeks ago. And man, I was a big Jeremy Hill guy. I'm not going to lie. Part of it was because Jeremy Hill was the fifth string running back going into 2012. And when he got his opportunity, he took it. And that dude is just a baller. So shout out to Jay Hill. a PHLer. We need to get Jay Hill some booger bands, man. That's LSU football royalty right there. But yeah, I would kind of hope a Jeremy Hill or Hester would go to Corey Kiner and say, look, don't do that. That will get you killed, because when you jump up in the air like that, the referees, the referees are not going to be forgiving if you get slammed like he did. Yeah, Matthew, but when you're playing against, and Auburn's going to be like this too. Well, take that back. I haven't really gotten a chance to evaluate Derek Mason's defense yet, so we'll see. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's the answer, but we'll see. Connor's a big answer to the run game as long as he doesn't do the dumb hurdle attempts. I agree TDP and Williams are better in protection, though. What was very interesting was LSU tried to get Armani Goodwin going. He did. Oh, okay. So obviously he knows more about running back play than I do. But yeah, I felt so bad because I know what he was trying to do, right? But don't hurdle out of bounds. I like Derek Mason personally. I was really happy though that LSU didn't get him. I just didn't. Here's okay. And I got this question a lot, Mo Funky, about why I would prefer Durante Jones over Derek Mason, because the reason why is because I just think defensive coordinators all throughout college football get it all wrong, right? Because you can't run similar defensive concepts that worked in yesteryear, okay? The offenses are too good. The rules aren't in your favor. So my biggest concern with Derek Mason was he was going to go back to what he knew, which was what he knew back in 2013 as a defensive coordinator. So it's very interesting. I like Derek Mason personally. I hope he has a great career wherever he goes. I know Ed Orgeron likes Derek Mason a lot. He decided to go to Auburn. I don't know how much LSU was interested in Derek Mason, but we'll see how he does this weekend. I'll tell you this. I'm really glad Kevin Steele isn't on that other sideline. He has really gotten the better of us. Not only in 2020, but 2019. That was the only defense that slowed us down. That was the only defense, right? And their defense played 88 plays versus LSU. Okay. And ironically, they had the same strategy LSU had this past weekend versus Mississippi State, where we also ran 88 plays. And they had a very rush 3, drop 8 mentality. And it gave us some issues in 2019. Now, Joe and Clyde eventually figured it out. But if you actually go back and watch that 2019 game, none of what we got offensively was just given. There wasn't blown assignments. We weren't burning them through the air. They gave us a lot of issues. Now, they did have the good fortune of it being kind of rainy, so that might have slowed us down some. The field was not as fast, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm really happy Kevin Steele is not on that other sideline. So yeah, I'm really happy that Kevin Steele is not there. I'll put it at that. As far as Derek Mason is concerned, once again, Mo Funky, I do need to see what this Auburn defense looks like. I haven't really been able to watch them all that much. Yeah, he was just a head coach. So I don't know too much of him as a defensive coordinator right now. Yeah, Bruce, I agree with this. I really do agree with this. I don't know, Travis, with the Kavontre Bradford. I just don't know if he can crack the rotation. But, it's kind of like the Jeremy Hill thing. We were talking about him a minute ago. That's the beauty about LSU. running back is a true meritocracy. I don't think, coaches do get the running back decision wrong sometimes, but running back is one of those positions where the best player is going to eventually play, because there's so many different running backs that play during the course of a game. So, if Bradford gets his opportunity, I don't know if he's eligible or not, but if he gets his opportunity and he goes out there and just kills it, he'll be the guy. There is still room for any running back to walk in there. Heck, it could be Corn Norman, Nick Demas. It could be anyone, really. But yeah, Kevin Steele's really good. Well, he was really good against us. I'll put it that way. Yeah, well, I hope so. Right. Once again, I'll say this about the John Emery situation. He should play and he should be eligible. But once again, it's always been John Emery's MO. When we really need him, we don't have him. So hopefully he gets eligible. I think he should be eligible knowing everything he went through. So yeah, but we'll roll with TDP right now. I'll tell you this, TDP took a step in the right direction. This last weekend was by far his best game. Okay. But once again, you'll never hear me sympathize with the NCAA. John Emery should be cleared. The thing is, though, is I don't know if I've seen anything from John Emery that would make me say he is 110% going to be the difference maker. And also, this is pretty true as well. Jacob, you lucky duck, you got tickets? I should just go with Tony. Tony offered me a ticket to go to the game this weekend. I should just go. Wonder if Jared's going. The Master Blaster says he has a ticket for me. The Master Blaster. Oh my God, Rand changed his profile photo to the ankles. Oh my God, he does have two ankles. Oh, Rand, you son of a gun. You are not lying. Those are two ankles right there, people. Rand said he wanted to show everybody. This makes sense. Rand is an Auburn fan who lives in Florida. The two ankle thing checks out. It does. Makes sense. If you go, bring some merch and I'll buy on site. There you go. That'll pay for my gas right there. Rand has two ankles. Okay, it's a twinkle. Okay. All right. Now, how many people in the chat thought Rand was lying about the two ankles thing? It's kind of like a random thing to lie about. But Rand said, look, I'm an Auburn fan and I'm watching this LSU channel. And I have to prove to the world I actually have two ankles. Two ankles. Rand's laughing about this. I would be too, Rand. I do have a little scar on my chest right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Right there. We all have our own little special things about our body. Why'd you throw up in your mouth, Big Al? Respect people for what they have. Oh, you're throwing up in my scar. R.I.P. Turd Ferguson. Huh? Turd Ferguson was in here earlier. Not the actual Turd Ferguson, but our viewer who goes by Turd Ferguson. My ex-GF had cankles. Dang, Jersey. Really? Something wrong with kanks, baby. I got kanks. I'm all about the cankles. This is true. Micah Baskerville is playing better. I thought he filled the run a lot better too, Reed. Got his hands on a few passes. I like it. Oh, guys. So what I've been doing for live chats is I eat a little something before I get on there. I did not eat anything. My stomach is growling for some bison tacos. Dang, Rand. Rand said, dang, Rand took the ankle photo off, guys. Nothing really to report. Do you guys think Cam Lewis is our best safety so far this season? I would still say it's Jay Ward, even though he's only played 2 games. Major Burns also played a good game this past weekend. It's amazing how a more defensive back friendly scheme will do work for you. Cam Lewis did look better. Also, Cam Lewis is just a great story, man. Also, a very underrated, and I'm telling you, a very everyone welcome Mark. He is a dear friend of mine and a diehard Auburn fan. And by the way, Mark was our only super chatter for our first film study for LSU versus Mississippi State. Thank you so much, Mark, for your support. Okay. So no John Emery update, no Miles Brennan update. Miles is still about a month away from playing. That's a good question right here. Okay. I love this though. Rand is the worst X-fan. Rand, I just like the fact that you change your photo back and forth. So, Mark, welcome. Everyone, welcome Mark. He is a big-time supporter. Even when we don't have LSU versus Auburn, Mark does support the channel. This is a good tweet from Blake. Are you serious, sports? So there was a report that 6 Kentucky football players were charged with burglary, and they all returned to practice today. And Blake said, LSU kicking players off the team for farting in class. Blake is so great, man. He really is. And Blake is a member of the Booker Band Club. Now it's all good, man. Julie pulling his leg. I like that. There you go. We got 2. Y'all go check out my guy Vernon and tell him that I sent you. Vernon loves Auburn. He's a great Auburn YouTuber. Did y'all see this? Okay. Eli Manning flipping the bird last night. That's just really funny. I know. I'm Marcellus. We'll get about 4 turnovers because he's still overthrowing the ball. It's true. I hope you're right. Plum changed up his profile photo as well. Plum, at first I thought that was I'm guessing that's you on the far right, Plum. Yeah, Julia, I wish I could help you with some LSU baseball knowledge. That is just not. I've covered the team before. I got to go to Omaha the last time they won it. Anthony Renato, Lewis Coleman, Leon Landry, Mikey Matuk, Sean Ochinko. How about someone that's still in the league? TJ LeMahieu, Micah Gibbs. The younger Nola brother, the shortstop. That team was so much fun. They had so many good personalities on that team. Buzzy Heidel or Buzzy Hayden. I forgot his last name. That was such a fun team, though. And then the most outstanding player of the tournament, Jared Mitchell. And who can forget the dreadlocks of doom? Chad Jones. Good night, man. Good night, Plum. We'll see you Saturday night. What's up, Planet Low? Yeah, Landon. I mean, he'll know some. I don't think it's going to be like one of those things where he just knows everything. I think that's kind of overstated as well, Landon, because, all these players are good friends. Like, they know each other from, like, recruiting circles. And, I just, I obviously TJ going to be familiar with a lot of the players. I just don't think it's going to be one of those things where, he knows the ins and out of Durante's defense, especially now that we showed all the different looks that we showed last week. Oh, yeah, Marcellus. Let's go. That's such a great profile photo. Coach O, man, I hope he turns it around. I know I've been really critical of him, but I like Coach O. It's kind of crazy. Okay. You know, like some things you just got to get lucky. So we were talking about Arkansas earlier. It's so unlucky that there is a 1 in 12 chance Arkansas plays Georgia in Sanford. Okay. A lot of you are familiar with how the SEC schedules work. So Arkansas is their best team of the modern era right now. Better than any of those Bielema teams, and definitely the best teams that they've had since Petrino's years. So when LSU beat Arkansas in 2011, they were the number 3 team in the country. So, I mean, that was a peak, and I don't think they're ever going to touch that again. But out of all the years, Arkansas draws Georgia in Sanford. Okay. Once again, it's a 1 in 12 chance that they play Georgia in Sanford. And it just happens to be this year. Like, how unlucky is that? It is so wild. What's up, Grant? It is so wild that Arkansas gets that freaking unlucky. I do. What's up, Esteban? Good to see you, man. Oh, I hope so too, Jared. I hope so too. Oh, easy. Ole Miss, easy. Easy Ole Miss. Arkansas might be better than Ole Miss, but man, the reason why that game is going to be so tough, Dalton, it's a good question. So the Ole Miss game is the 8th game in 8 weeks on LSU's schedule. And as many of you know, LSU's injuries, sometimes they don't make sense. Like you watch one player is unavailable for the next week's game, but you didn't see them get hurt the week before. And there's only so many different ways you can get hurt in practice, right? So LSU, a team that's been really banged up, will be playing Ole Miss the 8th week of the season at Ole Miss, the week after playing a Dan Mullen coach team. So LSU's defense, which can get gashed, is going to have to play Lane Kiffin the week after playing Dan Mullen. That's tough. Ole Miss, and once again, Arkansas, they're 2 completely different teams with 2 completely different kind of coaches. And Lane Kiffin was contemplating the Arkansas job. still, it's just one of those things. I know these sideburns are getting filthy. I need to get a haircut. Thanks, Jared. Appreciate that. Better super chat, $20 for my haircut tomorrow, since you're punking me into getting a haircut. I will say this, Jared. It is fine because we did see 2 ankles on 1 foot tonight. I did not expect that to be a part of the live chat, but here we are. And by the way, special thanks to Jamar for actually providing us something in the background. So I am actually going to build more stuff. You will not believe this. I ordered a shelf, okay, from a certain big company, and I get it, and it didn't have all the pieces for the shelf, so I could put all my Joe Burrow bobbleheads and my Tyrann Matthew stuff. It is what it is, right? Appreciate you, Esteban. Jay Lewis. You know what's interesting? I had never heard of him before that. It was fun, though. I really enjoyed it. Dude's pretty legit, man. Grant, obviously I want Ole Miss to win. Here's something I think that's going to be interesting, right? So, in order to beat Alabama, you've got to have some dudes, okay? Alabama's not a team that you can just out-scheme, right? You've got to have some guys that are just going to go out there and make big football plays, right? They're so well coached. They're not going to give you an inch, right? So, for instance, when we beat Alabama, how many plays against Alabama did we have that were just blown coverages? Okay, so Terrace Marshall's touchdown was a bad blown coverage, but pretty much everything we got in that game, we earned, right? You know, Jamar Chase, his first touchdown was on the best corner right now in the NFL. So, you know, it's tough. And I think this could be the game. Now, full disclosure, I've not watched enough of Ole Miss up to this point, but I can say that when you lose Elijah Moore and their tight end, whose name slips my mind right now, there's only so many of those guys you can lose and still be able to beat Alabama. So you got to have some guys. And once again, I don't know a whole lot about Ole Miss's receivers, right? I haven't been able to sit and watch them. This is just simple, logic. You can't beat Alabama without having some real playmakers on the outside. Like you've got to have some ball players. And before the game actually happens, I'll watch them Ole Miss from this year. I just think not having some of the weapons that they had will eventually catch up to you when you play a team that is so daggum talented. Yeboah. Yeah, Rita, it is interesting, right? How many guys are just out? And part of it, and Reed, this is also a very important piece of context as well, is that this is not the NFL where you get an official injury report. So in the NFL, I believe you have to report your official injuries, guys that are out, guys that are active, guys that are inactive. You can't do that in college unless one thing happens. Only if Ed Orgeron says it is it true. It's true because we don't hear from LSU officials outside of Ed Orgeron. Now we hear from players, but you'll never ask a player about so-and-so being injured, right? So the thing is, and this is something that I find pretty interesting, Reed, is well, he's been the best corner in the NFL this year, statistically, 3 games, 3 interceptions, and a pick 6. But Jalen Ramsey's the best corner in the NFL. And then number 2 is probably Trey White or Jair Alexander. But still, the major point, though, Reed, was in order to beat Alabama, you got to have some dudes, right? So we'll see. Now, to your other point, Reed, and you make a good point. We don't have an official injury report. So we don't actually know which players are hurt. Also, something else that I wish LSU would do, and the only way this would happen is if, the media ask for this, but other schools do make their coordinators available to the media. I would like to hear from Durante Jones. I would like to hear from Jake Peets, because what happens is when you have Ed Orgeron in a media session, you're more likely to ask more yes and no questions. So you're going to ask, well, is Derek Stingley hurt? What is John Emery's situation? So it's pretty yes and no questions. But if a coordinator is made available to the media, you get to learn more about the scheme. You get to ask, different types of questions to coordinators. I really wish if there was one thing I would change about LSU right now, I wish Jake Peets and Durante Jones were made available to the media. I just think that would be so interesting. Also, just from a football junkie standpoint, I wish I could hear from them or talk to them. If they want to hop on the live stream, they're more than welcome to. Or even DJ Mangus, really. I just think it'd be so interesting because all 3 of those guys are in their first year of doing what they're doing. And part of that just excites me. These are 3 guys at, late 30, early 40s, and they're getting to have this opportunity of a lifetime. I'd be very interested to hear what their thought processes are. And then we could get, what made you think of this concept? Why did you play Cole Taylor Moore instead of Jack Besh? What are your views on the offensive line personnel? Then you get down into, different questions such as that. Landon changed his profile photo to Kayshon. That's such a good picture of Kayshon, too. Who has the best O-lines in the SEC? Who has the best defensive backs? Good question, Jason. Also good to have you in the live chat, man. Once again, I'm not Cole Kubelik. I'm not able to watch all the other offensive line. Well, I am able. I just choose not to. I just try and focus in on LSU. Kentucky's is really good. Alabama's offensive line is really good every year. Georgia's offensive line is fine. But honestly, Florida's offensive line is the one that I've seen really gain a lot of steam, which makes a lot of sense. Okay. But Jason, I think most people would agree Arkansas's offensive line is probably playing the best. They're probably also exceeding expectations the most, and it's because they have the best coach in the SEC based on expectations so far this year, and that guy is known for his offensive line coaching. So that's obviously pretty key. Now, best defensive backs in the SEC. I don't know. I don't. I would guess LSU. Maybe. I don't know. How's JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry doing? I really wanted him to pick LSU. I need Tyrann Matthews rookie cards to go down, guys. Money's a little tight right now. Kool-Aid McKinstry. He got chewed out by Saban. I love that guy, man. I wish he was an LSU Tiger. I don't know anything about TJ. It's a good question about James Craig. I don't know. I don't know how much better or worse the offensive line would be playing. I would guess worse. I just don't. I know this is harsh, but I just don't understand. Okay, let me take a let me take a different look at this. Okay, why? Okay, LSU's defensive tackle play last year was fine. Okay, it wasn't great. It was fine. And we also had a pretty good inclination that Mason Smith was going to come to LSU, right? And we had Jaquelin Roy and Jacoby and Guillory was getting healthier. And he got hurt against Alabama. But we still had Glenn Logan. We still had Neil Farrell. I don't understand with the roster and the depth that we had at that position, why didn't we ever try Joseph Evans on the offensive line? That just never made any sense to me. Knowing, once again, our defensive tackle play was not great last year. It was not great, but it was fine. Our offensive line play was horrible. It was unplayable. Why was it such common knowledge that Joseph Evans might start on the offensive line and we just bail on that operation? I don't know. And honestly, he's played well on the defensive line this year. Okay. But there are 3 other defensive tackles who have been better than him. I don't know if he just told the coaching staff, hey, I want to play defense. I don't want to play offense anymore. If that's the case, then you obviously can't play him on the offensive line if his heart's not into it. It just never made any sense to me. It just didn't. But I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Well, all right, guys. I appreciate all the generous super chats tonight. And if you guys, once again, I'll keep this party moving if we keep the super chats coming in. But yeah. Yeah, Pegasus, that's my point. He is a good defensive tackle, right? But there are other good defensive tackles on the team, okay? When have you ever said that, okay, Joseph Evans is making a huge difference on the defensive line to the point where it's like, okay, this guy is the next Ricky Jean Francois or whatever. There's never once been a time where I saw Joseph Evans play defensive tackle and I said, okay, this guy is unbelievable. All right. He's good. He's he's an SEC starting defensive tackle. But we have other defensive tackles on the team that are as good, if not better. He was close to being a starting offensive lineman last year. Close. And we never gave it a shot. We never did. So that's my point. But anyway. This was a fun live stream, man. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off on this. We'll continue the Joseph Evans talk for Saturday. Once again, he is a fine defensive tackle. I just, maybe what if he was like Orlando Pace? We don't know. I'm just kind of curious, how that played out. But what do I know? Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. And once again, live stream tonight dedicated to Jamar Simeon. Okay. Okay. Once again, special thanks to Jamar. You can get this painting, put in the promo code Carter. You get a discount. If you want to get a print, I love it. I just think it's cool. Joe Burrow, Heisman pose. Supporting a fellow Louisiana artist is absolutely great, man. So once again, thank you to Jamar. This is so great, man. It really is great. I hope it doesn't happen, Mark, but we'll see you Saturday. We appreciate your support. It's Bison Taco time tonight. It is. Oh, yeah. If you want to check out our TJ Finley film study, you can just click. I got it linked down below. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. We'll see you Saturday. Don't forget halftime broadcast and post-game broadcast. Let's